Hey y'all, happy Sunday. Today I want to talk about something that's real near and dear to my heart, addictions. With it being October and it is still a domestic violence and intimate partner abuse awareness month, addictions unfortunately play a part in a lot of abuse. And so I want to talk about it today, okay? I want to start off first with the Serenity Prayer, which is a prayer that is used in sobriety, but I think it could also help all of us. So let me share it. Here it goes. Lord, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things that I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Now, if all of us would really listen to the words of that prayer, a lot of us would be less stressed, less depressed, less anxious, because we wouldn't be taking on things that we cannot control. And we would understand that God has it all covered, okay? So let's go to the definition of addictions. It is a need or urge to do something or use something that can interfere with your functioning in all areas of your life. It comes off compulsive, it is chronic, it is physiological, and it's psychological. Okay? So as you think about addictions and how it affects you, physiological and psychological. Okay? Now, of course, the more risk factors that you have, the more probability of being addicted to something you have. Okay? So I want you to think about this. If you had any trauma in your childhood, any kind of abuse, neglect, or anything like that, you have a higher probability of being addicted to a drug. If there are genetics or biology involved, where maybe your parents had some addictions, there's a probability of you being addicted. Okay. If there was exposure, or experience, or in the environment, if you will, somebody kind of like, yeah, let's try it with me, right? That's a possibility of you being addicted, right? And a lot of times we don't know when these these addictions may happen, or if they could happen to us. I can use drugs with a friend, and that friend could be like, all right, done with that. And I could be the one with the addiction. Why? I've had childhood trauma. I've had a parent who has been addicted to drugs and alcohol. Um, I have had experience that could cause me to be addicted to something. Now, me knowing that is very helpful because I'm not trying to do any drugs, alcohol anyway. I don't even like to take stuff that I'm prescribed to take. Okay. I'm like, okay, is this addictive? I mean, I'm very, very, very open to that. But at the same time, there are people out there that don't know their history. There are people out there that don't understand that this is possible. And then they kind of walk into this thing, right? And yeah, it doesn't work for everybody. But for some people, listen, they're more susceptible. That does not make them less than you. Okay. So let's talk about how it works. Okay. So there is a chemical in our body called dopamine. Now, that dopamine is a messenger that goes to our brain and it says, hey, let's be happy. All right, let's be happy. Right. But what happens if you can't be happy? What happens if you're low? Right. You use a drug. What happens is that drug floods your body with dopamine. And so that's the happy pill. So a lot of times when you hear people who are addicted to a substance, they'll say, I never got that first high, because that first high was the one that took them all the way there. But here's the thing. Someone who's addicted to a substance, it's not even about getting high. It's about not being low. There are things going on inside of their bodies, whether it's mind, body, or spirit, that's causing them to need such an element, okay? So that they can experience pleasure, okay? Now, here's the thing. There are some people that actually are born with an inability to experience pleasure. That's unfortunate, but it's the truth. They actually have a name for it. But there are some other things that can cause issues with this. Mental health concerns, like personality disorder. All right, think about personality disorder. It's one of the heavy hitters. I like to call it a heavy hitter because it's not one of those things that's easy to diagnose. It's not necessarily easy to actually deal with as well. And it takes some time to figure out that that's what it is. Okay. So the person could have been experiencing this for decades and not know it. Okay. And they may have tried some substances to try to deal with whatever the symptoms are. It happens a lot. Okay. Some other ones, bipolar disorder. That was the first one that comes to mind for me. And I know several patients of mine have used marijuana to deal with having bipolar disorder, because with bipolar disorder, it's like one minute you're like, woohoo, party over here. The next minute you're like, oh, Lord, can I get up off the floor? Like literally, it goes like that within seconds. Okay. And so that person is only trying to find the peace, just the balance. Okay. So a lot of people that are using drugs, it's not about getting high. It's about not being low. Okay. So I just want you to keep that in mind. Now, when I brought up this personality disorder, there's also these adaptive responses that can also cause, like if you think about it, for instance, you use a substance to get your balance, right? The more and more you use it, which would cause you to be addicted because it's repetitive, right? But the more and more you use it, the more and more your body gets used to it, and the more and more you adapt to it, which means you have a tolerance, which means you have to use more to be balanced and more to be balanced. You get how that goes? Now, let's just say, for instance, you are a person who is born without the ability to experience pleasure, which they are calling RDS, which is reward deficiency syndrome. Okay. Now, this can be caused by genetics. It can be caused by the environment or experience. But it can also be caused by like a parent who was on some kind of substance or whatever, and it passed on to the child. Now, here's the thing. You wouldn't know if that's the case or not, but children can be born like from infancy this way. And what it causes is you to be compulsive. So you have compulsive behaviors, you have impulsive behaviors, you have ADHD, you have PTSD, and you can be on the spectrum. And we're talking autism or Asperger's, right? But just think about that for a moment. How many children you know have been diagnosed with ADHD? It is very possible that these children may have had this reward deficiency, right? It's really important for us to understand that a lot of times this label that we carry has some underlying issues with it, okay? So yeah, I don't have a problem with someone who is addicted to a substance saying, hey, I'm an addict, I'm addicted to this. Okay, if that's going to give you accountability, by all means do that. But I'm a root problem. I'm a root person. I like to go down in there and see like what really is the issue. And a lot of times it's mental health concerns that went undiagnosed. Or there is a physical thing that has happened to you, like this RDS, that you have no idea about. And all this time, you've just been trying to figure out how to get some balance. So you got on a substance. Now, yeah, of course, you have to deal with the substance. That's a beast that you have right now, a demon that you have to take care of. But there are other things that are going on the inside of you that may have caused you to be susceptible to this thing. Okay? So I want to bring that up because a lot of times there's a lot of stigma as it relates to people who are addicted to something. And again, this addiction don't have to be just drugs and alcohol. It could be food. It could be making money. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It could be sex, you know? But the point is there is a addictive nudge inside of you, and there's a reason for it. So I hope with this video that you take the time to think about, okay, in your sober moments, of course, what could be the underlying issue here? What's my root problem? Because once you get to that root problem, you can pull it all up and renew yourself. Okay. Now, of course, you have to start with the addictions because that's on top, right? You have to get that taken care of before you can get to the root of anything. But you have to have the courage, and you're gonna have to have support to do this. So, if your family and friends are listening to this, I hope that there is a more of an empathy and an understanding for people who may be experiencing addictions. Again, there's a lot going on there, and it may be from the inside out, not the outside in. Okay. Now, I have a Bible verse, of course I do. I always do, don't I? that I want to share with you. And that Bible verse is 1 Corinthians 10th chapter 13th verse. And it says, no temptation has overtaken you except such as is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you are able, but with the temptation will always make a way of escape, that you may be able to bear it. So what I feel like God is saying in this scripture is that we're going to be tempted, right? All our temptations are not going to look the same. And that's just the truth. But we're all going to be tempted. And with addictions, the first thing I think about is there's a temptation to do something that's going to bring you some kind of joy, okay, on the inside when you're feeling empty. But God is saying you can overcome this thing. You have the strength to do it, all right? And he will give you an escape, okay? So as you figure out what's going on with you, I want to ask that you go to God, you talk to him. One way you can reset your brain, because of course with all of the drug use or whatever you're doing, it has rewired your brain, but you can reset it by music. Music speaks to the soul, okay? So find you a playlist that works for you, a playlist that's going to play things that's going to uplift your spirits. Now, the way to figure that out, you may have to listen to several different songs and really gauge inside of you, like, is this touching me on the inside? And if it is, that goes on your list. Make 10, 15, 20 songs on the list and start to play it often, okay? Meditation and prayer. Of course, God is there. He wants to talk to you. He's open. He's willing, okay? Meditation, you can hear him, okay? You can do your breathing. Sleep is really, really, really important. Any healing is done while we're at rest, okay? So rest, okay? Let God heal you, rejuvenate you, restore you, all the re's, okay? Get your rest. That will help your body reboot, okay? Diet and exercise. Now, with the diet, what are you putting in your body? And I'm not talking about the substance. What kind of food? Are you missing any vitamins or nutrients or minerals that maybe you need, that may be keeping you from being able to activate your dopamine? I'm just saying, look into that. Talk to your provider, okay? Now, exercise, listen, you feel real good. You have this real high once you're done, right? You might be tired, you may be sweaty, but you feel really good once you have accomplished this thing. It is a natural activator of dopamine. So I want to encourage you to do that. Do something creative. Is there anything you haven't done in a long time that brought you joy? Maybe pull it out. It's time, okay? Now, the song for the day is called Withholding Nothing. And there are not a lot of words in this song, and that's the reason why I chose it. I'm hoping that if you're in your darkest place, that you feel like you can take this song and just commune with God, okay? I surrender all to you. Everything I give to you. Withholding nothing, withholding nothing. I surrender all to you. Everything I owe to you. Withholding nothing, withholding nothing. I give you all of me. I give you all of me. Give him all of you. He is there. He wants to help. He will give you the victory over any addictions. Just give it all to him. He loves you. God bless you.